CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, is facing major criticism from Hollywood celebrities. They say that he's a businessman first, who has a dearth of creativity and does not care about the audience. Today, we'll debate whether that's true or not and tell you what's coming out that's hot from the House of Mouse. Folks, click the like button and let's dive in. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is a dandy of a day. We're happy that you've come our way. Our job here is to explain entertainment. Keeping you ahead of the culture curve is what we do, giving you a PhD into Hollyweird. And no, there is no tuition required, for you are on scholarship. Folks, as we get ready to dive in, again, we only ask, click the like button, and here we go. And take a look at this. It's by Marvin Montanaro. Emmy host Nate Bargatze rips Bob Iger in blistering Disney comment. That guy doesn't care about the audience. That's what they're saying, but Bob Iger might care about his bank account because it's looking up. Conservative comedian and Emmy host Nate Bargatze stood up to one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, Disney CEO Bob Iger. Bargatze may be known for his clean, apolitical comedy, but that doesn't mean he won't speak up when it comes to what matters, respecting the audience. In a new cover story for Esquire, the Emmy Awards host didn't mince words when asked who his biggest influencers were. Bargatze named 4 icons: Jerry Seinfeld, Judd Apatow, Adam Sandler, no impression there, and Walt Disney. But it was his clarification about Disney that turned heads. He said, I mean, Walt Disney, the person. Why? Because in his view, Walt Disney genuinely cared about what he created, and more importantly, the people he created it for. Now, Disney is run by a guy that's just a businessman, he said. Well, that guy doesn't care about the audience. That blunt statement landed like a thunderclap in an industry long accused of putting shareholders ahead of customers. And coming from Bargatze, someone with a reputation for avoiding controversy, it's even more damning. The comment reflects a growing sentiment among fans and creators alike that Disney, under Iger's leadership, has lost the spirit of its founder in favor of corporate maneuvering and soulless brand management. However, if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to go to the Disney stock, if that's all right, and let's take a look, because it is doing quite well, all things considered. And then we're going to have a little bit of a debate about this. Folks, take a look. The Disney stock now is up significantly and up to 105. Now, Bob Iger is a businessman and he's taking some hits on this. I want to say we are not in the territory yet where I'm going to praise Disney, but this was masterful what he's did, or what he has done with the nightmare quarter and turning that around with the announcement of a new Disney park that they don't have to pay for. The stock is not yet above what I would say. It needs to get above 115. Let's see. What was the top here in 2024? 122. If it gets into 120 territory, then we're going to have to say it was a big win for Disney. But there are concerns that Bob Iger is business first and creativity second. And now that is coming out, he's getting real criticisms about this. And I just have to ask the question, guys, with these two sides of the coin, which one is going to win out and which one matters most? Do people care that Bob Iger is less creative and more all about business, or are the investors just happy right now to see some relief? Which way do you think this is going right now in the way that the world is seeing Bob Iger?
Well, I think it depends on whether you're looking at things from a short-term perspective or a long-term perspective. Short-term, I'm sure everyone's thrilled. You know, the stock went up. The Bob Iger smokescreen worked. This thing that fell into his lap, as Jonas put it, he presented as if it was something that he himself fought for and made happen for the shareholders. Long term, though, I think this is going to do reputational harm. I think it's going to, and I think it's going to be a non-entity going forward. I think that, once the smokescreen dissipates, we are going to see Disney still being what it's always been. And I think in a month's time, that stock is probably going to be under $100 again.
I think, and no financial advice here, folks, but I think that it's going to be more difficult to criticize Bob Iger given what's happened with the stock market. I think it was a masterclass in psychological adjustment, because everybody went into that shareholder meeting thinking that we were going to get, Snow White, Captain America Brave New World, Hollywood tariffs. Basically, those didn't come up at all. He completely bypassed them with the gaslighting of a Disneyland level announcement that is the Middle Eastern theme park, but they're not building it. They're not spending money on it. They're just licensing their IP to it. But for the average person, for the average investor, they have no idea. It was masterful. They're getting criticisms now from people like Nate Bargatze, but you have to really know what's going on to understand that criticism. And that's the difficulty here is most people don't have the time to spend to figure out what it is he's complaining about. I get it. You all get it. Vash, how is this going to play out in the public realm with the normies?
Well, I think the normies are seeing this from a couple of different levels. Obviously, we've gone over how people are taking to this Abu Dhabi news and so forth, and how it's like, well, wait a minute, you just had a campaign against human rights as you saw them in Florida, and now what? You're not holding Abu Dhabi to the same standards? That's a little bit weird there. And we saw this kind of masterful act of distraction from Bob Iger before. You remember with Nelson Peltz situation, for example. It was like, that tremendous quarterly call, I should say, where it was like, hey, Moana, that's going to not Moana 2, not going to Disney Plus, but going to theatrical or the Epic Games and that kind of thing. We saw that his first earnings call back when people were probably going to grill him on like the transition and going from Chapek to Iger and so forth. What does he announce? He announces a big new addition for Disneyland in the form of Avatar. We've seen this behavior from him before, and I think this time, it, as flush with cash as they might be from this Abu Dhabi announcement, I think you might have investors and maybe others looking at it and going, okay, yeah, that's, the seventh theme park operation. Fine, we get it. But what else are you doing in order to justify the valuation that the stock market is actually setting? And I think that's where they might come up short.
Vash, what if the theme parks are not well received, the changes? Do you think that the Abu Dhabi decision, this very, very clever business ploy that Bob Iger has come up with, do you think that covers up the sins of what they're doing at Walt Disney World? So, like, if Rivers of America goes away and they covered the whole thing with construction walls, and Muppet Vision goes away and they cover it up with construction walls, at the same time that Epic Universe is eating their lunch, do you think that they have the way of saying now to shareholders and investors, stay with us, we've got the Abu Dhabi park, we're opening a whole new Disneyland. You can't get nervous just because of park attendance.
No, I don't think that's going to cover it, because here's the thing. I was just answering this question for somebody else on another platform. They almost never bring up Tokyo, almost at all. The only earnings call I've ever seen them bring up Tokyo is when there was a contract renewal in which they were able to get a little bit more royalties out of the OLC. But otherwise, they don't bring it up because it's not worth bringing up. It doesn't generate enough revenue on an ongoing basis in order to justify even bringing it up in the earnings reports. Unlike Walt Disney World, which is a profound level of revenue and also operating income for the Walt Disney Company as a whole on an ongoing basis. If something happens at Walt Disney World, trust me, investors care about it. And that's the thing. If they go forward with getting rid of Rivers of America, that is, getting rid of Muppet Vision 3D and all these things that aren't beloved by the audience in while at the same time Epic Universe is coming online, and we see that gravitational shift in terms of revenue shift the other way towards Universal, it's not going to matter how many parks they build in the Middle East under these kind of arrangements. Investors won't be placated by doing a one-time deal like this.
Jonas,
I will
the title says that he doesn't care.
They did bring up the fact that there's that new cruise line coming out of Japan, but they didn't announce that, no, the Japan people passed on Disney Cruise Lines actually running the Disney Cruise Lines out there.
That's a fair point.
Jonas, the headline says that Bob Iger doesn't care. That's what the comedian is saying. Do you think that Bob Iger really doesn't care about the audience? Is he that cynical? Like, what is it that drives the man?
I think he cares if the audience pays money. I think that's about it for him. As we've said previously, he called Acolyte dynamite. He thought the show looked fantastic when he talked about it at the Morgan Stanley conference. He says that Thunderbolts is everything that Marvel should be. If he cares what the audience thinks, then he's lost touch with what the audience is. He watches these films 4 to 5 times before they go into theaters. So whatever the tastes are, they're either not what his are, or he does not care what the audience thinks.
He's a very complicated CEO, because before he came back, he would have left with people lauding him as one of the greatest American CEOs of the past century. Now that he's back, you know, we had a tremendous amount of time of criticizing him, but now he has the stock moving upwards. And at the same time, those who know what's really going on, we look at it and say, wait a minute, what's moving the stock up is a lot of smoke and puffery. Kevin, what do you make of this idea that Disney is sort of living on a hope and a wink that the box office is going to wake up from the sleep that it's been in, and that the Disney parks are going to be just fine, despite every indication we have that that might not be true?
I mean, they are living on a prayer. You're starting to see the.
All right, Bon Jovi, I see what you did there.
Listen, the cracks in the foundation are there. I really think the only people who are really truly happy with this are the institutional shareholders, because they really aren't that impacted anyway. But the average Joe, people pay attention when they are in pain. So it's mega expensive for me to go to the park. If I'm someone who loves the park is being ripped of its soul every time I go back. If I'm a shareholder, my Disney stock is not worth what it was years ago. And the fluctuation is really super irritating. If I'm a Disney fan and I'm not a delusional pixie duster, I can objectively say the quality of the content that comes out is not where it needs to be, nor where it should be. If I'm a culture war person, I'm exhausted because I don't want to hear the culture war stuff anymore. If I'm someone who really pays attention to these shareholder calls, how many times can this man not be held accountable and actually answer a question that someone has? Since he accidentally had to address a nice little nun, he's essentially turned into the wizard. So people start to see the little itty bitty cracks, and whether they're conscious of it or not, they start to put it together. Now you have a celebrity actually say what the majority of people are thinking, and now it's out there in the ether, and people are being drawn to it like it's a lightning rod for a reason. It is only a matter of time before this becomes the majority sentiment. And he's trying to ride this out and get out as quickly as possible. But like I said, the Kaiser Soze strikes again with a miracle park. But brother, you spent a couple of years, you lost trillions of dollars duking it out with DeSantis because of human rights issues.
Right. You think
Kevin, you ignored the slave camps in China.
Kevin, you think that the issues like informing parents of what's going to be taught in classes, you think that's worse than what happens in the Middle East? Because that would have to be that is the hypocrisy here, is that Disney was ready to go to war with Florida. That was all a way to get Bob Iger back in power, by the way. That was how they got rid of Chapek. They never believed it for a second. Marvin, you're the one behind this article. Let us know, please. Do you think this has a broader appeal? Do you think that people are paying attention? Or do you think that investors are just saying, my money's looking good. Go, Bob, go?
Well, it depends on who you're talking about here. If you're talking about the viewing public, the people that are paying their money to fund these investors, then I think yes. I mean, I think the investors right now are just looking at the stock price. They're just looking at the bottom line. But I think most of the viewing public agrees with Nate Bargatze, and I think that, as people look more into this Abu Dhabi thing, I think you're going to get a lot more pushback than there was about China.
But he'll be gone by then. He'll be gone. So that's the whole point.
Also possibly true.
Martin, great point. He'll be out by the time that we get to the point of criticism for Abu Dhabi.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you look at the construction of this park, as Kevin just pointed about China. It's going to be built by, in a YouTube friendly way, I will say, or in a Marvel way, prisoners with jobs. So that is that is the labor that is going to build this Disneyland. And they're going to be working in 105-degree weather. It's going to be hugely embarrassing for the company, but you're right, bro. He's going to be gone. All they're going to remember about Bob Iger is that he put together this deal that brought in billions to the company. And then when all of the labor issues happen and all of the controversies that surround, building in Abu Dhabi come up, it's going to be like, oh, that Josh tomorrow, how could he do this?
Here's what I want, Marvin. People think that we're negative about Disney for the sake of being negative. Folks, that could not be further from the truth. Disney has absolutely wiped out Star Wars and Marvel. When they wipe out Star Wars and Marvel, we can't cover Star Wars and Marvel anymore. These things have to remain viable for us to have content to cover. So we don't want that to happen. So let me give you a positive vision for what I would like from Disney. And it's very simple. I want Disney to make announcements in the future that have 80% support, where people are not saying, oh, no, I can't believe you're doing that. That's the legacy of Jim Henson going away. Oh, no, I can't believe you. That's the legacy of Walt going away. I want you to make announcements, Disney, that get the majority of people excited without much downside to them at all. That's what I want. And that's very simple to do. Why you can't do it, I don't understand. I get that this has turned into basically a conglomerate business system built around sports and ESPN, and that saves the day. I get that. But at the end of the day, I don't understand why, via competence, you can't make announcements that have the majority of your fans saying, go Disney, go. Cool. I can't wait to ride it. Because 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when you made announcements, that's what people said. They said, oh boy, I can't wait. That looks great. And now people say, I hope it's not too late to enjoy what I've got, because they're going to bulldoze it. And that's Disney. All right, folks, that is the news story for the day when it comes to Bob Iger and being criticized by celebrities. Finally, will it hold? I don't know, but we'll see. Folks, it's time to bid you adieu, but we hope that you will help us anew. And that is, we're only asking you click that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, have you gone the way of thatparkplace.com? www.thatparkplace.com. It's the website that if you're not yet bookmarked to, well, you should be. A bastion of truth and knowledge when it comes to entertainment and everything that's going on. Go check it out today, folks. We would love to have you over there as well. All right, we are getting ready to head out, but do not fret, for we will put out 4 more videos tomorrow, so long as the good Lord allows. And we believe that probably, just might, happen. All right, until the next time we get to share time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Hey, Floral, guess what?
You put a fork in Pro's microwave again.
No, that was yesterday.
I don't know that what.
Oh, I've decided to give up on torturing Jonas.
What? Why? In the same way the cat sleeps like 20 hours a day, that was like your purpose.
I know, but I've decided there's bigger fish to fry.
Okay.
Like Lorne. I mean, think about it. Everybody loves him. He's a fan favorite, and frankly, he has almost no weaknesses I can find. Except that he's really smart.
So, you want to annoy the one panelist without a single flaw, because he's smart.
Yeah, like that winged statue at that fancy Paris museum thingy. I want to break the one thing that everyone loves most.
So, kind of like the opposite of Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, exactly. And I get to see her all the time at family reunions anyway.
You get to see Rachel Zegler?
Yeah. She's a total troll. Lives under a bridge, harasses billy goats, the whole 9 yards.
It all makes sense now.
Speaking of which, maybe she'll get me... call her on my... I'm gonna call her and see if she'll be in the next Indiana Jones. She should be the next Indiana Jones. That'll totally destroy Lord. He loves Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's cruel.
Hey, Rach. I've got a cool idea for you that involves a whip and snakes.
I love that description. It's perfect.
I know, right? Weird, as we always say.